Colin Pitchfork, double child killer and rapist to be released. Brilliant idea that. I'm loving that story. He's not a shoplifter or a burglar, someone who's got a problem that you can explain by addiction, or a process criminal, done a bit of mortgage fraud. This is a bloke who enjoys killing kids. He's aptly named though, because I think it's time we got the pitchforks out for Colin. Right, obviously it's lunacy. Obviously. The only time I'd get behind this idea is if we put him in a council house next door to one of the posh private girls' schools that all the bloody politicians send their children to. Then I'd support it. Let's do that. No? Don't fancy that, do you, Rishi? Nah. Just put him in Middlesbrough instead. Yeah, stick him in a council estate in Hartlepool. And you think I'm joking? After Ian Huntley's girlfriend got released, she was kept up near Middlesbrough in a little town called Gisborough. I remember it well because she wanted to get a haircut and it needed 25 coppers and they shut the entire high street down. So you know where the priorities lie with our government? It's looking after the worst oxygen thieves on planet Earth. But let's read the story out of morbid curiosity, shall we? Double child killer and rapist Colin Pitchfork has been granted parole and will be released from prison. Pitchfork was jailed for life for raping and strangling two 15-year-old girls in Leicestershire in 1983 and 1986. Yeah, so it's not, it's not a couple of speeding tickets or a smackhead who burgled a few houses to feed his addiction. It's a bloke who gets off on raping and murdering young lasses. And that's not the best bit. They've already let him out once. Mind blown, but trust me, it gets worse. The 63-year-old was released in 2021 before being arrested and sent back to prison 2 months later. Oh yeah, rehabilitation works then, doesn't it? Caught him pulling himself off outside a primary school. Funny old thing, he ended up back in the nick. And then what? They just think you just forget about it if they wait 18 months? And off you pop, ready to lube up and fling yourself round the school bus? Are these people completely brain dead? In its decision, the parole board determined that it was no longer necessary for the protection of the public for Mr. Pitchfork to remain confined and thereby directed his release. So you let him out 2 years ago and the first thing he did was go sniffing round young girls. But now it's been 2 years, he's fine, is he? What's he going to do, get a job as a lollipop man? Did we rewire his brain? Some sort of, in 2022 did we do pioneering brain surgery and turn him from a sociopathic kiddie fiddler into a CBeebies presenter? Is that what we did? Although, bad example. We've had Jimmy Savile, Philip Schofield and Rolf Harris. I think if I had to pick between leaving the kids with the local drug dealer or a CBeebies presenter, at this point I'd probably pick the peddler of heroin. The panel noted Mr. Pitchfork has been in prison for a very long time. Oh, okay then, very long time. Might as well let him eat your kids then. Lynn Garner, a friend of Dawn's mother Barbara, told the BBC it's hard to put into words how we feel. It makes you feel so despairing. Oh, I can put it into words, but then YouTube would send a SWAT team round my house. Suffice it to say, there are lots of swear words, a few crude sexual threats, and several allusions to violence. Pitchfork was recalled to prison shortly after his first release, after he was understood to have approached young women on multiple occasions while out on walks from the bail hostel. Where do you go with this? If this isn't more concrete evidence that the powers that be do not care about you and your children's safety, I don't know what else to tell you. At this point, I'm convinced that the system is not working. You shouldn't pay your taxes or play the game at all. We are not being served by the degenerate, sexual deviant scum that run the United Kingdom. They ditch them in council estates. If they were all getting put up in Kensington Gardens, surrounding themselves with posh middle-class arseholes in the home counties, this would not be happening. But they don't, so it is. Oh yeah, while I'm on, let's turn this into a miniature BBC Spews. Here's another good one. Cardiff taxi driver jailed for 11 years for raping a passenger. So a full-blown rape, not like, he was my boyfriend for a few months and then he took a few sex pics that I didn't want people to see. A full-blown punch you in the face and stick his fist down your knickers type of thing. And 11 year. So it's less than half in the UK now because the law is a joke. So he'll be out in 5. Would you be happy if someone raped your wife or kids? To bump into them down the boozer 4 years and 8 months later? Do you think that'd make you feel happy? They best pray nothing like this happens to any of my nearest and dearest. Because bootnecks aren't renowned for their pleasant, civilised response to such things. I'd go home looking like Leatherface within 20 seconds of meeting a bloke like that. Anyway, I digress. Let's have a look at this detestable Welshman, shall we? Funny that. I should have knew when it was a woman making the complaint and not a farmyard animal. If it said taxi driver forced his way into a barn, tucked a sheep's back legs into his wellies, and had his wicked way with it over a partially collapsed wall, then I would have expected it might have been a Welshman. And obviously the BBC tried to minimise it as usual. Jakia Hussain of Grangetown, Cardiff. Bloody Cardiff, they're all hooligans there, you can't... Anyway, I don't even want to talk about this one, it's horrific. Fully attacked her, forced his way into a house, beat her up, raped her. Yeah, he'll be out in 5 years. Ultimately, like most English people, I'm a reasonable, socially liberal centrist. The only two things I'm very right-wing on at this point are immigration and crime and punishment, because I have empathy for the victims of these people. I'm sick and tired of the meaningless, pointless platitudes of politicians who just spew nonsense into the air and think that constitutes fixing a problem. It doesn't. All week we've seen it. Politicians, thoughts and prayers, oh.
Mr. Speaker, Nottingham is devastated by the senseless attacks that took place on our streets yesterday. The thoughts and prayers of the whole city are with the family and friends of those killed and with those injured.
Nottingham is devastated by the deaths of 3 residents of our city, Grace Kumar, Barnaby Webber and Ian Coates. It was incredibly moving to join the vigil yesterday at St Peter's Church, where hundreds of people came together in grief, among them many students who lost 2 much-loved members of their community. Will the Home Secretary join me in paying tribute to the people of Nottingham, to their unity and resilience at this painful time?
It means nothing. It's just words. Look, I'll prove it to you. Who are the 5 worst people I can think of the top of my head? And I'll just do some. I'll do some right now. Watch. Peter Sutcliffe. Oh, thoughts and prayers for Peter Sutcliffe. Poor old Peter Sutcliffe. Gary Glitter. Oh, it's a shit. Gary Glitter. Thoughts and prayers for Gary Glitter. It's heartbreaking to hear about Gary getting banged up in a Vietnamese cell. It's terrible. The chavvy little Geordie kid who I seen punch the Santa Claus in the dick in the Metro Centre. Oh, poor little chavvy kid. It wasn't his fault. He comes from a broken up. Look, there's 3. Easy. Hitler, Stalin. Oh, it's a cry. Terrible what happened to them. Thoughts and prayers. Look, it's easy. Easy. And meaningless. It means nothing. Less than nothing. Words are wind. And if the so-called Conservative Party give less than 0 shits about sorting out crime and punishment, what's conservative about them? Like I keep saying, don't support them, don't vote for them. You might as well rip the plaster off quickly and let Labour get it. Because at least then, we can die quickly instead of slowly. It's like choosing between sticking your face in a wood chipper or killing yourself by banging a tangerine on your head 25,000 times until it eventually drills a hole in your skull. I'd rather have a quick death than a slow one. But what say you? Boils my piss, it really does. These people care nothing for you or your family's safety. So it's time for us to stop playing the game, if you ask me. Anyway, let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all, don't know when I'm doing the stream. Soon. Alright? Cheers. See you soon.